Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm your host, John, and I am here with my co host, Sarah. Whether you're walking to work, cooking dinner, or just relaxing at home, we are so glad you chose to spend your time learning with us today.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Today is a great day to learn something new.
It certainly is. Many of you are learning English to get a better job or to grow in your career. And there is one specific event that makes almost everyone nervous.
I think I know what it is. Is it the job interview?
Exactly. Job interviews are stressful even for native speakers. But when you have to do an interview in a second language, the pressure is much higher. You're trying to remember your professional experience, and at the same time, you're translating words in your head.
Yes, that is exactly how it feels. Sometimes my mind just goes completely blank. I forget every English word I know.
That is a very natural reaction. When we are nervous, our brains focus on the stress instead of the words. So, today, we are going to help you remove that stress. We are going to focus on the very first question they always ask you in an interview.
Oh, I know this one. They always say, "Tell me about yourself." I hate this question. It is so wide. I never know where to start. Should I talk about my university, my family, my hobbies?
That is a perfect description of why this question is so difficult. It is broad, meaning it is not specific at all, but it is actually a wonderful opportunity if you know how to use it. Today, we are going to teach you how to stop sounding like a robot, how to share your career story naturally, and later we will talk about the best questions you can ask at the very end of your interview.
That sounds incredibly helpful. Let us start with the first point. You said we need to stop sounding like robots. What does that mean in an interview?
Well, when people hear the question, "Tell me about yourself," they usually make one huge mistake. They start reading their resume from memory.
Their resume, you mean the paper with all their work history and education?
Yes, exactly. A resume, or a CV as some people call it, is a document that lists your professional history. Many people start answering the question by saying, "I graduated in 2015, then I worked at this company for 2 years. Then I moved to this company for 3 years, and my responsibilities were this and that."
But wait, John, is that not what the interviewer wants to know? They want to know my experience.
They do want to know your experience, but they already have your resume on the desk in front of them. They have already read it. If you just repeat what is on the paper, you sound like a machine. You sound robotic. The interviewer wants to hear your story, not a list of dates and job titles.
I understand if I just repeat the paper, it is boring. They want to see my personality. They want to see how I communicate.
You hit the nail on the head. That means you got the answer exactly right. The way you communicate is just as important as your actual experience. They want to see if you are a clear communicator and if you're confident.
Okay? So reading the resume from memory is a big mistake. But then, how should I answer? If I cannot read my work history, what do I say?
The secret is to share your career story naturally. We recommend using a very simple three-part structure. We call it present, past, and future.
Present, past, and future. That is easy to remember. Can you explain the first part, the present?
Sure. You start your answer by talking about right now. Who are you professionally today? You can mention your current job title and a brief summary of what you do.
Can I try an example?
Please do.
Let us say I'm applying for a marketing job. For the present part, I could say, currently, I'm a marketing assistant at ABC Company, where I manage social media accounts and help organize online campaigns.
That is absolutely perfect. It is clear, it is simple, and it tells them exactly what you do right now. Notice that Sarah did not list every single task she does every day. She just gave a high-level summary. High level means a general overview without too many small details.
Thank you. So after the present, I move to the past. What should I include there?
For the past, you want to tell them how you got to where you are today. But remember, do not list every job. Just mention one or two past experiences that are relevant to the job you're interviewing for. You can also mention a key achievement.
A key achievement? Do you mean something good I did at my old job?
Exactly. An achievement is a success or a goal you reached. So instead of saying my responsibility was making reports, you could say in my last role, I created a new reporting system that saved my team 5 hours a week.
Oh, I see the difference. The second way shows the positive result of my work. It sounds much stronger.
It does. It shows the value you bring to a company. So you have talked about the present and you have connected it to your past experience. Now you finish with the future.
This must be the part where I talk about the job I'm interviewing for.
Exactly right. Again, the future part is where you explain why you're sitting in that chair. Why do you want this specific job? How does it fit into your career goals?
So, for my marketing example, could I say I have learned a lot in my current role, but I'm looking for a new challenge where I can lead my own projects, which is why I'm so excited about this position at your company.
Sarah, if you said that in an interview with me, I would hire you immediately. That was a brilliant transition. A transition is how you move from one idea to the next. You moved from your past experience directly into why you want to work for them. It shows you have purpose and direction.
Thank you, John. The present, past, future method makes it feel like a real story. It does not feel like I'm just listing facts. It feels much more natural.
That is the goal, and because you're telling a story, it is much easier to remember. You do not have to memorize a script word for word. You just remember 3 words: present, past, future. This will make your English sound much more fluent and confident.
That is a great tip for non-native speakers. Trying to memorize long sentences in English always makes me sound very unnatural. Having a structure to follow is much safer.
Now, let us move to the final part of our podcast today. The interview is almost over. You have answered all their questions beautifully, but then the interviewer looks at you and says, "Well, we have asked you a lot of questions. Do you have any questions for us?"
I always freeze when they say this. In my culture, sometimes asking questions to an authority figure can seem a little impolite. So I usually just smile and say, "No, everything was very clear. Thank you."
That is a very common cultural difference, Sarah. It is so important to talk about this. In many Western business cultures, especially in the US, the UK, or international English-speaking companies, saying you have no questions is actually seen as a negative thing.
Really, why is it negative? I thought it meant I understood everything.
To an interviewer, it can look like you're not truly interested in the job. Asking questions shows that you're engaged. It shows that you care about your future and that you have thought deeply about the company. An interview is not just them choosing you, it is also you choosing them.
That is a very different way to look at it. I'm evaluating them too. So, what are the best questions to ask? I do not want to ask something wrong, like asking about vacation days too early.
You are completely right. You should avoid asking about salary, vacations, or benefits in the first interview. You wait until they offer you the job to discuss those things. Instead, your questions should be about the work, the team, and the company culture.
Can you give me an example of a good question about the work?
Absolutely, a great question to ask is, what does a typical day look like in this role?
Oh, I like that. It helps me imagine myself doing the job. If they say the typical day is just sitting in a dark room entering data, maybe I do not want the job.
Exactly. It gives you real, practical information. Another excellent question is, what is the biggest challenge your team is facing right now?
Let me make sure I understand the word challenge. A challenge is a difficult situation or problem, right?
Yes, a challenge is something that tests your skills or abilities. It is a polite and professional way to say problem. When you ask this question, you look like a problem solver. You're basically asking, what is broken so I can help you fix it? Employers love that kind of thinking.
That sounds very professional. What about asking about the company culture? Sometimes the job sounds good, but the people or the environment are not a good fit.
A very natural question for that is, what do you enjoy most about working here?
I love that question. It makes the interviewer talk about themselves. I think people generally like talking about their own experiences.
They definitely do, and you will learn a lot from their answer. If they smile and talk about how supportive the team is, that is a great sign. If they hesitate and cannot think of anything good to say, that might be a warning sign for you.
So, to summarize the end of the interview, never say you have no questions. Avoid asking about money or vacation at first. Ask about a typical day, the current challenges, or the interviewer's personal experience at the company.
Perfect summary, Sarah. You have covered all the key points beautifully. Let us quickly review everything we talked about today so our listeners can take away the main lessons.
Yes, first, when they ask, tell me about yourself. Do not read your resume. They already have it. You do not want to sound like a robot.
Second, share your career story using the present, past, future structure. Tell them what you do now, how your past experience prepared you, and why you want this specific job for your future.
And third, always have 2 or 3 smart questions ready for the end of the interview. It shows you're interested and excited about the opportunity.
If you practice these 3 things, you will walk into your next English job interview feeling prepared, professional, and confident.
Thank you, John. This was incredibly helpful. I feel like I could go to a job interview right now and do a much better job.
I have no doubt you would be fantastic, Sarah. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Keep practicing your English, remember your story, and we will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone. Keep learning.